Alberto Filter, welcome to the Pacey Performance Podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Rob.
Anyone that doesn't know who you are, Alberto, would you mind just giving me a quick bio, who you are and what you're currently doing?
Yes, okay. Alberto Filter is from Spain. He's in the south of Spain, Andalusia. Specifically, I live in a little village in Seville. I did the degree in sports science and physical activity. Later, I studied the master in high performance. And the last one was my PhD. I think that 4 years ago, I did my PhD about high intensity actions in football. My supervisor were Bernardo Requena. Bernardo is a co-founder of Football Science Institute, and Alfredo Santalla, that is now professor of physiology in Pablo de la Vida University. From this point, I think that my life has changed, because now I have a lot of podcasts, interview like this, and to me it's an authentic pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for coming on to speak in English when it's not your first language. So good. So before we kick off, you wrote an article for Sportsmith a little while ago on curvilinear sprinting. So this is going to be the topic of today's discussion for the next half hour, 45 minutes. So what is the current problem with how we train speed in sports like football?
I think, Tom, that there are three parts. The first of one, I think that there is not sport adaptation. We train in the same way a basketball player and football player. The second one, I think that there is not a position adjustment or position adaptation. I always think that within of the football we have different sport. It's not the same axial player than central player. And the last one is the no inclusion of contextual variables, technical-tactical variables that do that the high-intensity actions or the drills be closer of the game. As this is crucial for testing and training session. To me,
Can you?
Go
on.
The most important aspect of the main problems nowadays in Europe and America.
What is the difference between the demands of the different positions? Just it'd be great to get an example.
Okay, it's easy. I have, for example, nowadays I train a professional athlete. He is my father, and he never performed during the competition and heading. No, I never train these actions because it's low frequency during the competition, during the game, and I prefer to choose another actions more frequent, like change of direction, like acceleration short distance, and the demand of competition are absolutely different. I always say that, for example, in central back, it's a position with very specific characteristics. In central back, I like, for example, train a lot sprint in back starting position, because it's very frequent during the competition. And to me, it's crucial to differentiate the position demand of each part of or area on the file.
Do you? This is the case in the UK, and I think in the US as well. But in Europe, have you tended to take a lot of influences from athletics, from track and field, when it comes to speed?
Yes, I think so. I think that in my thesis, I put one step closer the test of high intensity actions. I don't speak about sprint only. I speak about jump also. And for example, in athletic, you have a coach for sprinter, you have a coach for endurance athletes, but in football, you have a coach for every position. Even physical trainer or physical condition coach can provide drills for footballers, for players of football, and basketball player. And to me, when I see every day more than 50 papers published on football, it's impossible to be updated in multiple sports. It's very difficult because only in football, only some positions require a lot of reading, a lot of updated knowledge. I think that we must think in football. Some days ago, I talked with a friend, and we say that if you want to prepare physically a football player, you must see football. You must watch every week 2 or 3 matches per week, and this is key for finding the key performance indicators that explain you what do you do you have to do in your session.
So just moving it to curvilinear sprinting, what is curvilinear sprinting, and why should we care?
Okay, curvilinear is now trending topic. I don't understand, Rob, but I will say that curve sprint is a gradual change of direction, avoiding breaking of cutting actions, because this is used during football to attack the free space, avoiding offside position. Okay, and to me, in a simple phrase, to me, curve sprint is a gradual change of direction that enables you accelerate during all way.
So, in terms of the demands of within football, how many times are we actually sprinting curvilinearly versus straight? Because you mentioned in the article about Pac-Man.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. I think that we train football player like a Pac-Man in very straight lines. It's not only in sprint, in jump happen the same. We train the jump in only one plane, but the jump in football is parabolic. Yes, I think that a great percent of sprint football are curvilinear. Paul Calbeck and Thomas Dos Santos just published a paper with 85% of sprint are curvilinear. It's not purely straight sprint, and this requires a special attention, and this requires another perspective, another training, and include this type of sprint in the week. I think that is crucial to be one step closer to football.
So 85%?
Yes,
curvilinear?
85% of sprint are curvilinear.
Interesting. So let's get into the testing and understanding where our football players or other team sport athletes are at. How can we test this quality? How would you recommend people test curvilinear sprint speed?
Yes, I recommend it absolutely. Use curve sprint, but Tom, I always say that you need watch your player. You need watch football. You need watch the position of your player, and you need watch your player during competition. Because if you have a player that doesn't perform sprinting, curve sprint during the competition, you don't need test that. It's better that you test these high intensity actions that player perform during competition. In the case of the curve sprint, you can use curve sprint in a lot of positions. It's very easy. We use the arc of the area because it's everyone have this dimension on the file. the arc of the area is perfect in terms of distance. The standard sprint in football with 17 meters is the typical sprint in football. It's the average of all sprint in football. It's perfect related with the angle of turning. You have a good angle, a good radius to sprint, and enables player accelerates throughout all the route. And it's very simple. You can put timing gates at the beginning and the end, and optionally you can use in the middle. And with the time for one side and other side, you can obtain also asymmetry data.
So this is the top of the penalty box. This is the arc at the top of the penalty box.
The area, because you have another circle in the center of the file, but it's very long, and it's not necessary. You with the arc of the area, you have the beginning at the end cross with the straight line of the area. It's perfect to assess easy to a team of 25 players.
So can you do this? Could you do it without any timing gates? Is there any ways to do it without timing gates? Could you use a phone? Anything like that?
Yes. Now we have a draft copy of paper in which we compare mobile phone with timing gates, and the correlation is very high. Nowadays we have simple devices that give you very valid and reliable data, and with if you see the frame by frame, you can obtain time with good reliability, and you have to place the phone on the penalty spot, okay, to record all curvilinear, and you obtain the first frame when player cross the first line, and you mark the end of the curve sprint, and you obtain very valid and reliable data.
So this is using, what app is it using, Alberto?
Sorry?
What app? Is it using a particular app?
Yes, you can use the change of direction app by Carlo Basalova.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
But there is also a very simple platform like Kinovea. It's for Microsoft. I think that for Apple is not available. Yes, it's very simple. You can use with simple mobile and Kinovea or the app of Carlos.
So what kind of association are we looking at between curvilinear sprinting and change direction ability? Are they closely related? Are they completely separate characteristics?
Yes, I think that is more related with linear sprint. I think that change of direction is absolutely another ability, absolutely different, because you have a braking and reaccelerate phase, and in curve sprint you don't have the braking or cutting actions. For example, when we assess asymmetry, you can see that the asymmetry are opposites in curve sprint versus change of direction. For example, if you have a good change of direction for right side in your curve sprint, maybe your better curve sprint is the left side. And this indicates that the determinant factors are different. Even if you see the role of each leg in change of direction, the most important leg is the outside leg, because it's very important to brake. But in curve sprint, the most important leg is the inside leg, because you increase a lot the ground contact time. Are absolutely different. There is more relationship with linear sprint, but also it is not identical.
So do you have any particular standards for what is like world class, or what is like just in your population, the people that you've worked with?
Standard?
Like good. What's a good time versus a not so good time? What's the
Okay.
aim for what you working with your athlete?
Yes, depend of the population, as you know, is absolutely different. In high performance athletes, okay, I have time about 2.60 seconds, okay, 2.60 seconds in high professional level, okay. But in academy, for example, I consider that a bad carve sprint when it's higher than 3 seconds, okay. But depend of the population, depend of the position. If you have full back, you have better better performance in carve sprint than with my fielder or another position. But this is a good standard. This 2.60 second approximately is a top level for high experienced soccer player.
Have you used this with other athletes as well from other sports?
No.
Okay.
Rob,
Have you?
I only, yes, I only study football. I I am a crazy of football. I always thinking in this sport. I think in another actions like jump in football, and I consider that it's very difficult to me to keep update a lot of knowledge, and I only know football. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Have you seen anyone else use this in other sports?
About another actions?
Have you seen people using curvilinear sprint
Yes.
testing in other sports? Not you, but other people?
Yes, now I think that there is another paper about the same test for basketball basket player in the arc of the area on the couch. Okay, and I think that there is another fitness coach applying this test in American football. I think, yeah, I think that you can implement this spring a lot of sport, because if you have an opponent, you must evade and you do a calf sprint. But I only control football context.
So we've talked about testing it. How do we train it? How do we train it? What can we change and manipulate, and how can we create drills to develop curvilinear speed?
Okay, you need the toolbox to coaches. Okay, depend if you have on the file or on the weight room. You must control different variables. For on the file, you can apply the first of one is that you must apply calf sprint. Okay, you must include in your session calf sprint, and then you can play with different. You can manage different angle of calf sprint. If you increase the radius, you have less rotational movement, less centrifugal force, and if you have a little small radius, you have more lateral force, and it depends of you want. In this sense, I consider that there are a lot of variables to improve calf sprint, but I like always start with a calf sprint in the arc of the area like a reference. Okay, you have this time, you have this like a reference, and you use a small radius and bigger radius. In any case, in a small radius, it's difficult. Don't do braking, because it's very closer curve, and sometimes you need decelerate to change of direction. And the arc of the area have the optimal angle to avoid this braking phase, these cutting actions. Okay, to improve that, I like, for example, use equipment such as the weighted vest. Yes, it's a weighted vest. Okay.
Yeah.
Because as you know, calf spring have another force projections like lateral. It's not only anterior posterior. You have lateral actions, lateral force production, and you must control this. Even this little chain provides you a big effect on time. Okay, if you prove, for example, to place your athletes with weight vest, you can see that the time is are modified in a big dimension.
How, before you go on, Alberto, how heavy would you go on the weighted vest?
How, sorry?
How heavy? How many kilos?
Yes, I use, for example, I use 5 kilograms on the trunk, okay, and with that, player precise load, precise the load when in the middle of the curve, in which the high centrifugal force is higher. He feel that the force is strong to calf spring and to avoid a change of direction. That is another ability.
So what else can we do what other drills can we do to train it? If we've started using the arc, and a weighted vest, where do we go then?
Yeah, you can use, for example, binding with a jump with the inside leg, because as I said before, inside leg is the main limiting, is determinant for the calf spring. And if you use bounding in the inside leg, you will improve your calf spring. You can use also another equipment like butter for run.
Say again.
Butter for run is like a cable with load. It's like
Okay.
It's like a 1080 motion.
Okay, yeah, 1080 motion. Yep.
It's similar. It's better for run, and I use that for calf spring because you can accelerate. It's more comfortable than sled training. Okay, even we are designing now. I don't know the name in English. Is a rotated belt. It's a belt here that you can rotate it, and the cable you can modify the place to avoid that this you can do the calf spring in good condition. Okay, I think that this is good option to improve calf spring, because sled training, in my experience, sled training is very uncomfortable for player. You can use another more simple drills to improve that, like a simple jump, and weight vest, and you have, I'm sure that you have a good result in calf sprinting.
How can we then take that and make it more contextual? Like you mentioned about how we can train football in a more contextual way. How do we train curvilinear sprinting in a more contextual way?
Yes. Rob, to me, contextual is to adapt the drills to what player do during competition. For that, as I said before, you must watch the match, the position, and your player, because in the same position, two players can apply different drills, different ability. In my case, in my players, I adapt the calf spring to what they do during the match. For example, for instance, I apply different starting position in frontal, lateral, and back. If I have a central back position, I use the back position, the initial back position. I always use the rolling acceleration, because you must differentiate, or you have to differentiate between explosive acceleration and gradual acceleration. I like rolling acceleration because I think that is more frequent in football. I like also to put a ball at the end of the calf sprint. Even I like decelerate at the end of calf sprint. And always I say the focus attention. It's not the same do a calf sprint focus in yourself that focus in a ball with trunk rotated. Okay, this is the same that I apply on the jump. I put a ball to do a good jump. In this way, I consider that all these contextual factors, initial position, type of acceleration, how do you place at the end of the sprint, focus attention are crucial to define the drills that you want to apply on the file. And I would like to say, Rob, that now I am in a project in Football Science Institute in which we are recording player during the match, and we synchronize that with tracking data. We are going to see the key moments, the high intensity actions, acceleration, deceleration, and we are going to describe what happened during this moment, because this provides us more data about deceleration, acceleration, jump, change of direction in football and in different positions. And this is my philosophy, my perspective about that. Contextualize is adapt to the drills to your player, to what player perform during the match.
Do you always use the arc of the penalty box? Or do you use tighter and larger angles?
Yes, I when I practice calf sprint, I always put in the arc of the area because player needs a guide. Player needs a model to continue. Okay, and it's necessary that you mark with a line the calf sprint. I use the arc of the area like a reference, and I use another calf sprinting in higher or lower angle, but always the reference is that the arc of the area of the penalty box.
So let's move into the gym, into the weight room. How would you program your strength and power sessions to be able to build the characteristics needed to excel in curvilinear sprinting?
Okay, in the gym it's absolutely different because you have different equipment. I like, for example, in calf sprint you have this lateral force. Your body is lean, and in this line you need to apply force in this direction because your body you can see that in calf sprint is inclined to the inside part. So I like, for example, use the landmine because you can apply force in this direction with the inside or outside leg, and I use the wall drills with the wall, okay, in this position because this provides you the feeling to do a calf sprint and to apply force to improve the determinant factor, the inside leg in this position, to avoid and to achieve a good position with the inside leg. That I think that is the key point to improve calf sprint.
So in terms of the wall drill, you'll be leaning into it using your shoulder, and you'll be driving down and up in that kind of leaned over angle.
Yes, for example, when I use wall drills, I use the wall, obviously, and I use, for example, elastic band, okay, that give me information that when I use this elastic band to that player is applying force with the wall drills, okay, I use a band to detect the force, I use a simple, a small angle of wall drills because in calf spring, is the angle is small. Okay, it's not too much. This is all. I use the wall drills and landmine mainly to improve on the gym. With that, I think that you can use a lot of variables in the within of these exercises.
I know you said the angles is quite small when you're doing the curvilinear sprinting. Would you try to replicate that in both these drills, or would you overemphasize it or underemphasize it?
Okay, in calf spring, the angle is a little angle, Rob, because if you incline a lot, it's impossible to apply force in anterior posterior direction. So with you have a small angle, okay, it's enough because you feel that with outside leg it's okay, but with inner leg you feel that you feel weak. You feel that you cannot apply force on the ground with the inner leg, and so with small angle is enough.
So them two exercises be your main ones?
Maybe in the gym you can include jumps. Okay. I like, for example, also include jump with a band in the lateral, and you do a curve road, a curve road with jump with the inner leg, but it's the same that you can apply on the file. Okay, it's very similar.
Okay, interesting. Well, I think there's so much there for people to take, and I think I would encourage people to read the article as well, because there's some videos and imagery and programs and detail that maybe we don't get in a conversation. So that's I would definitely encourage people to read that. But where's your work? Where can people get hold of your work, Alberto? Where's the best place? Your research. Where's the best place for people to get your research?
Okay, I published a paper about high intensity actions. Okay, in International Journal of Sport Medicine. I think that this narrative review includes all that I'm told today. Okay, in this line, I think that this is crucial review to understand what's happening in high intensity actions in football. It's not only in sprinting, also in jump, in change of direction, and in other variables that I consider crucial to improve performance in football. And I think that this review provides you a wide spectrum of contextual influence on football in terms of technical and tactical. I highly recommend it. Our last paper, because include all of this, give you tools to apply on the file.
And in terms of curvilinear sprinting, Paul Kolbeck, people should check his work out.
Of course, Paul Kolbeck and Thomas Dos Santos published a paper 1 year ago about that. There is also another paper by John Fitzpatrick that I think that is so good. Okay, and to read about, for example, game speed, I think that Jeffrey is good also. Ian Jeffries.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, about game speed. And I think that with that you have a world reference expert about this subject.
Perfect. Well, where can people get you on social media, Alberto?
Okay. But to me, I don't know. In Spain, for example, we have Miguel Alonso. I can send you the Twitter, but in English, I like, for example, I don't know, Rich Clarke.
Oh no, where can people find you on social media?
Sorry?
Where can people find you on Twitter, Instagram?
My social
media? Your social media.
Okay, I think we recommended another
No.
Okay,
you.
Alberto Filter.
Perfect.
Okay, it's Alberto Filter in Instagram, in Twitter, because there is not another Alberto Filter.
No, that's great. Well, Alberto, thank you very much. I'll link to your article on the website so people can get hold of it there and give it a read. But thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And thank you for not making me speak Spanish and you speak in English, because that wouldn't have gone very well. So I appreciate it.
Thank you to you, Rob. Thank you so much. It's good. It's a pleasure to be here. And to be honest, it was easier. That's I think. Thank you.
Good. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.